I'll start over again. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Welcome to the North Santiam Sewer Authority Board Meeting number 69, October 3rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. It is 6:02. Again, thank you, everyone. Roll call. You're on mute.
Sorry. Mr. Woodward.
Present.
Mr. Kirsch.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Mr. Gander.
Present.
Mr. Morones.
Here.
And I am here. I am Janet Zionhall.
We do have a quorum. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Hearing none. Any announcements? Hearing none. Public comment and questions. Please limit public comments to 3 minutes. Any public comments? Hearing none. Action. Review and approve summary notes for July 11th, 2022 and August 1st, 2022. McCray is not on here. I haven't seen any.
She should be coming up in a sec.
Thank you. Can you put your first name on there, please?
Yes, Silas.
Silas. Silas.
Sure thing. Let me write that down in chat.
Please. Thank you. And if you could tell everybody how to pronounce your last name, that would help also.
Sure thing. Silas Lobnebe. Lobe is an earlobe, knee, and then be. So
Lobnebet.
Yes.
Lobnebet.
Yes.
Silas.
Lobnebe.
Thank you, Silas.
Of course.
Ken, Brian has his hand up.
Brian, where'd he go?
Brian Gander, I'm sorry.
Where'd he go?
So I have a phone call today from a constituent who is concerned that she can't find the summary notes from our previous meetings. She doesn't know where they are and on the website, and she can't track the meetings without having good access to the summary notes. And she even had a little bit of a challenge finding the meeting and the meeting link today. So I just want to raise that as a concern that I'm not quite sure our public is really able to get the things that we can get when we're on the Google Docs side. We can see some of the things, but so
Okay.
I hope that gets rectified. So there's the comment was there's a lack of transparency.
There's a lot of transparency, but we're in the process of getting everything in order. So
Well, I think what we need to hear her
it's
say
not on
is
the
that
agenda, Brian. It's not on the agenda right now. And I don't have McCray on here. So we need to move forward with our agenda. We will address it. We'll make a note of it right now. And we'll get it handled. But right now, we need to address other items of action. I noticed, I also got the email, and Ann Carey could have made a public comment about it. So let's just move forward. So McCray is not here. September 19th also is included on that summary notes. Draft financial policies. Ross Williamson, NSSA attorney. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you all.
Nice to meet you, everybody. Please introduce yourself, Ross.
Sure. Yeah. Larry asked me to do a quick introduction of myself and then also my law firm, because it doesn't have to be just me that you're dealing with. I have other colleagues here at the office that can help as well. So I'll speed through a quick introduction of myself and then my law firm, and then we can dive into the financial policies. So my name is Ross Williamson, and I am an attorney in Eugene at the Local Government Law Group. I've been practicing now for about 21 years. That whole time here in Eugene, I started out, I went to U of O Law School, and then got a job at a firm here in Eugene that represented the city of Eugene. And so my first 8 years of practice was spent doing big city work for the city of Eugene. I then moved to my current law firm about 13 years ago or so, and have been practicing representing small local governments. And so in my current practice, I do a lot of public contracting. I do a lot of land use. I do a lot of general government work, all types of general advice. I do board trainings, council trainings, appear at council meetings and committee meetings. All manner, anything that you can dream up, I've probably seen in my years of practice. Do a lot of IGAs, intergovernment agreements. The small client base that we have, we try to encourage sharing resources and sharing ideas. And so we do that by entering into IGAs quite often. And so I've been around the block quite a bit on entering into IGAs and negotiating those. I guess up in your neck of the woods, I've worked with the Idana Fire District quite a bit. They've been a long time client of ours. And then down the valley a little bit, we represent the city of Staten. And also Mount Angel too is not too far away from you folks. So I have a lot of experience in local government law, and it is all that I do. And in fact, moving on to our law firm, the Local Government Law Group, we only represent local governments. So we don't have any private clients. We only represent small cities and special districts. So we represent, I'm not exactly sure of the current count right now, but over 20, we serve as general counsel to over 20 cities. We represent one county, and then we do special projects with a lot of other cities and counties. And then we represent over 80 special districts, a lot of fire districts all across the state, but also work with irrigation districts and water districts. And of course, you all, we have worked with you, getting you established, and now the general counsel role for you all. So that my firm is made up of 7 full-time attorneys and then one what we call of counsel attorney. So we have eight attorneys in the office, and all we do is local government law. And so we have a lot of we like to say we have a deep bench. And so if you call our office, you'll get someone on the phone who can answer your questions. I'm not great at talking about myself, so I think we'll call that an end. We'll call that the introduction. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But to segue into the financial policies, because I know you've got a lot to do. I think my general philosophy in advising government bodies like you all is to provide you my experience and my advice, and then let you make the policy decisions. So I generally don't tell you what to do. I just tell you what your options are, and then you get to make that decision for yourself. So when I was reviewing the financial policies, I was primarily looking out for things where you might be over promising to do more than you are required to do. And then I was also looking at things where I thought you might be creating some future conflicts by promising too much or promising to create conflicts in the future. And so those are the things that I flagged for you all in your policies. Overall, I thought they're good policies. They set the tone for what you all have in mind for the future. I didn't see any huge red flags. So I guess I'm happy to take questions or let you all discuss the issues.
Larry, do you have anything to add or?
No, not so much. Just a reminder to everybody that this is the initial set of financial policies. Brian had been working a long time on drafting a very, very comprehensive set. And in order to kind of keep moving forward, we thought, well, we'd start with an initial set for that really fits our needs right now. And then we have the rest of the language on hold, as well as a schedule for phasing it in as we start making our operational decisions. And so I think that this set right now, which was kind of an effort really mostly on Brian's behalf, Kelly cleaned it up a little bit, and then I just helped liaison a little bit with Ross. I think that it fits us pretty well. Looking here at it, the different sections we have are purpose, guiding principles, objectives, management. We didn't see a lot of comments on that, just a lot of switching language such as and or, accounting, auditing, financial reporting. Not too much there. Revenue policy, there wasn't as much. Expenditure policy. We didn't see as much. And operating budget. That was kind of where we saw most of our changes was in Chapter 5 operating budget, where we took out a lot of the language for, defining what is the budget itself. And that's kind of what Ross was talking about, where he thought we might have been going a little bit too far and setting our requirements a little bit stricter than what is required by ORS. And so that's kind of where we scaled back the language a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a good set. And I think it's a good start. I think it fits our needs really well right now. And as we make more decisions and grow as an organization, we can see the financial policies grow as well.
So this is a living document, so it can be changed at a later date, added to at a later date as well. Does anybody have any questions about the financial policies that you received?
Not.
Any questions for Ross?
I do kind of am a little bit curious, Ross. Aside from, if we draft up documents for you to review or ask you questions, do you guys offer services beyond that? Like, does your firm offer like the drafting services themselves beyond just legal review?
Absolutely. We can do whatever is required for the job. I guess as a firm, the only thing we don't do bond work, and then we don't do we do some litigation, but not a lot. But anything else that we can do to help, sometimes it's more expedient and cost effective to not have me do the first draft of a document. So that's always a discussion I'm happy to have. I understand the local budgets. I understand the pressures on funds. And so I'm not going to try to sell myself to do more than is required. But if you need the help to help draft, and as I said, I've seen a lot of this stuff before. So I may have models in my files that we can draw from too to help save time. So
That's good to know.
yeah, absolutely. I encourage those discussions, and I'm happy to contribute however I can.
Okay, that's just good to know. Nothing now, but just for everyone to have on their mind too.
I guess I just, one last little comment I forgot to mention. I know Kelly Weiss quite well. Kelly's was at the city of Florence for a number of years, and I've been city attorney for the city of Florence for, I don't know, 14, 15 years. So we overlapped at the city of Florence quite a bit. And so Kelly and I have a great working relationship, and you're in good hands with Kelly. And so far, Larry has been very excellent. So it's been fun to get to know you all.
And Kelly speaks highly of you, Ross.
It's nice.
Do we have a motion? Any questions? Do we have a motion to accept the North Santiam Sewer Authority comprehensive financial policies?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Tim Kirsch makes the motion. Tony seconds. Open for discussion. Hearing none. Oh, Brian.
So I thought at the last meeting, we talked about having a section in there about insurance, but I don't see them in this batch.
Oh,
Why did that change? I guess is my question.
insurance.
Maybe
I
I'm just,
I feel like, hang on, I think it was a comment that Ross made. Let me look back at his comments. Tell you what they were.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of pages on that.
Okay, this was his comment. Am I on mute? No, okay, there you go. His comment says, the question was, is the NISA currently required to include information in the financial policies on insurance and bonding, particularly as they refer to ORS 297-435.2.c? We want to ensure we are covering anything else that should be included in these financial policies. And the comment from Ross was, I do not believe there is any requirement that you set out bonding and insurance issues in your policies. Indeed, bonding requirements do not require financial policies, they require bonding. For example, you should comply with the auditing requirements of ORS Chapter 297 as applicable. Adopting a policy does not necessarily illustrate compliance with the law. The financial policies are a great idea and help keep the board and staff organized, but the policies themselves are not really the requirement. So I guess that means kind of yes and no.
Yeah, so, yes, sorry if that was legalese, but I guess my comment there is adopting a policy is all fine and dandy, but you need to actually have the insurance. You need to have the bonding. And so I guess that was my real comment, is that you all should obtain insurance, and through that insurance, you obtain the bonding that is required.
And
so
we'll be
what
discussing
you're
that.
saying is it maybe should be, since it's an auditing requirement, it may be included in the language regarding auditing. The problem is, Ross, is that, and you've experienced this, I'm sure, in your other work, is that this board has transitioned quite a bit, quite a new, in the last year, many new members. And so it was always my feeling that, explicit policy helps new members understand the requirements of the board to be effective board members.
And I certainly understand that, and I wasn't opposing a policy on insurance.
No, I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the insurance in a little bit.
I think that's a good point, though, because we want these financial policies to meet us where we are right now, and then as we were making these drafts, because it's kind of the last month that we decided that we are seeking insurance and bonding. And so, I mean, I think Brian makes a good point to incorporate it into the financial policies. I think we are still phasing it. It is a living document. So we can add it into the next round as it comes in. Or what do you think it was a better idea to have it in there now for this initial set? But we
Well,
do know that there are edits incoming.
we haven't even paid the bill yet. Denny,
I don't see any problem with evolving this and adding that language in a future meeting. We all realize that that's a necessity. In fact, we're going to be discussing it later in this meeting. And we'll probably have insurance by the time we meet again. So I guess what I'm saying is I wouldn't let that get in the way of going ahead and voting on the policies and getting that piece off of our desk, our collective desk.
thank you, Denny. Any other discussion? Roll call? To a vote?
Mr. Woodward,
I approve.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mr. Gander.
Aye.
Mr. Morones,
Aye.
Mr. Kirsch,
Aye.
and I am I also. Motion passes.
Thank you, everybody. I see that Brian Nicholas is on here. If I may squeeze him in here. He's not on the agenda, but welcome aboard. Brian Nicholas,
Hey, I was just assuming I was a standing agenda on your monthly.
you always
meetings.
are.
So here we are. Here's where we're at with the contract. I have the scope and fee from Keller Associates for the fast start work. That's to kickstart the assessment on the Mill City Gates, the city's project in conjunction with the larger project. So I talked about that last month. That is making its rounds for signature at the county. So I should be giving Keller notice to proceed on that piece in the next couple of days. And then we'll be reaching out to the city of Mill City to schedule those meetings and start that coordination effort. The second fast start item is to get the commercial septic work going in Detroit. So we've had two commercial property owners come into Marion County Public Works to start the building permit process to build out or repair their septic systems. The first one is Kane's Marina, and the second one is Sean from Mountain High Grocery. And it appears he's bought a string of commercial properties right on Main Street in Detroit and wants to do some sort of unified development there. So we've already kind of by default, because they came into our office to start the building permit process, we've already started to talk to them about what their development plans are. So we've kind of got an early start with them. Now, once I get the change order that will add the commercial septic work for Detroit into the contract, then we'll be ready to sit down with citywide stakeholders. And I asked Chris Epley earlier today to help coordinate getting me on the City of Detroit City Council meeting, the next one, so I can give City Council a status update on where we are, get the council's input before we give Keller notice to proceed on that part of the project. Let's see, it looks to me like that amendment, the amendment that will add the commercial septic work, it's on target to go to the Board of Commissioners for approval on October 19th. So the assumption is that's the date that Keller Associates will get the notice to proceed on that part. Then they are pulling together the rest of the scope for the larger contract.
So we won't make that mistake again, Brian Nicholas. You'll be on the agenda no matter what.
Okay.
So Brian, this is Denny. Are you going to be at next week's city council meeting for Detroit?
Is it next week?
Yes.
Yeah, if it's next week, then I may have to come in as public comment, provide a brief. I don't know if it's too late to get on the agenda at this point, but yeah, I definitely can come in and at least provide public comment on the project status.
Well, I think that would be very helpful. There's a lot of questions being asked by members of the community, some with respect to the potential alternatives for our sewer treatment, for the temporary system, and others related to subsidizing those who have repaired systems that were destroyed by the fire, et cetera, et cetera. So to have you there and to make the comments that, for example, you shared with us at our last NSSA meeting would be extremely helpful for the community at large.
All right, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Mary has her hand up.
Mary,
Hey, Brian, when you talk to the city, we're going to issue if the location for the drain field / treatment system works out, then we would have to be issuing a permit. And it would be better, I don't know, to talk to Detroit if that permit would be issued to the city of Detroit, or would there be some kind of a property arrangement so that, again, I have an entity to submit a permit to them. So I wasn't sure if they've had enough conversation about who would own it. I mean, the first step is can we do it? And then another conversation is, okay, who's going to get the permit from the state to operate this facility? Assuming advanced treatment, some type drain field, probably be permitted by DEQ. If it's between 2,500 and 5,000, remember that thing. And then if it's above 5,000, then that's DEQ as well. And we just need to have a robust groundwater report to go with that. We are above 5,000 gallons per day.
Yep. Both Kim and Peter Olson have been sort of getting their head around this, but I think until we sit down, when it comes to the city of Detroit commercial systems, until we sit down with the commercial property stakeholder owners and figure out just who intends to do what and what this project would therefore need to do to support their development, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to guess where this might go. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep them small enough that permitting will be pretty straightforward. But then again, there's not a square foot of that area of Detroit that hasn't been paved over or developed in some way. So there's going to have to be some sort of soil mitigation. It's not in one way or another, we're going to have a challenge that we're going to have to deal with. So
yeah, and then we will need Marion County's help because we need to do this came up in the McKinsey project, and they didn't realize, like, wait a minute, you gotta also, if you're putting in a system like this in a water pollution control facility, we will need what's called a site evaluation. And so again, if you have a location, like, okay, we think this one's gonna work, then we need, and that's you put an application into Marion County, and then they come out and confirm, yep, that's a good site. And then the permitting stuff starts to happen. So
right. Yep, I think I've got a couple of good people running point on that. They'll know. Well, we're going to want to be talking as we go to figure out what the best strategy is going to be. Yeah, it's hard to say right now.
We definitely want a seat at the table when you're ready. It'll be Jessica Joy from our shop that'll be working.
Absolutely. Yep, agreed.
Sanitary people.
Yep. Anything else? Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mary. Anything else for Brian or Mary? All right, moving forward, review of draft quarterly report. Larry.
Yes.
Or where'd McCray go? There you are.
Hey, I just wanted to ask real quick, do we have any more questions for Ross, or should we let him off the clock?
I have one question for Larry, and maybe Ken, is Are we thinking about eventually becoming a sanitary district? Does he need to, 'cause that's a different animal than what you are right now.
Yes,
So,
well, it's a different animal right now. We're just getting everything in order. And once we get all in order and start on the communication, then we're going to be talking about special district.
Okay,
And Ross is qualified.
all right. Yay, Ross.
Hey, Ross, if you want to get going, we thank you for being here.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
The quarterly report was filled out by McCray. So McCray, do you have anything?
To offer? Well, for you all that are not familiar, the quarterly report is required as part of your contract with Marion County for the IGA. So when I met with Denny and Ken the week before last, we were discussing it and just went through this so that you could have it on the board agenda. At this point, there isn't too much information because we haven't done too much yet. $500 to COG to become members. And then, in our next quarterly report, which will come to you in January, first January meeting, there will be more information at that time. But does anyone have any questions about, the connection between your IGA and this quarterly report and what I filled out? What we entered?
Any questions for McCray?
Does this item require action by the council?
Probably, since you don't necessarily have a contract with me yet to be doing this work for you, probably there should be an action, but I think after this, it can just be a consent item.
The quarterly report was sent to everyone.
Sure, and just a reminder of where the quarterly report goes. It's for the board to review, and then it's for, myself and for Kelly to review, since we're kind of overseeing this grant program. And then, I don't know if it's a grant program necessarily, but we're overseeing these funds. And then we put it into our contract management software, which basically is just kind of a countywide thing that we use to track all our procurements and all our contracts. So it goes to us, and then it also goes to finance. And then should our big budget ever be audited, whether internally or externally, it shows, it kind of keeps tabs of all these funds. And it's a requirement of the IGA.
Yes. So do we have?
Motion to approve quarterly report to Marion County for the quarter of July through September of 2022.
Second.
First by Janet. Second by Denny. Any more discussion? Take it to a vote.
You want a roll call vote or just a yay nay?
Just a roll call vote.
Mr. Woodward,
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mr. Gander,
Aye.
Mr. Morones,
Aye.
Mr. Kirsch,
Aye.
and I am an aye. Motion passes.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Larry, have you got to fill out the ARPA quarterly report yet?
No, not yet. So we have a few different ARPA projects going on. And so I heard that the first one is due October 15th.
Yeah, we're working on ours at the state. Have fun with that.
Thanks. I heard from finance, I hit them up about it last week, and they said that we're going to they're sending out our template sometime early this week for everyone that has the program to do.
Have fun.
The motion, excuse me, the motion number for draft financial policies was?
01. And this is 02.
0102. Thank you. Update on insurance coverage, CIS application made on 9/22. McCray and Larry put things together. We've received an invoice from CIS. And lo and behold, it's $500 to join.
Ken, is that the invoice was from CIS or the League of Oregon Cities?
Excuse me, League of Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Right, in order for you all to be eligible for CIS insurance, you have to be a member of the League of Oregon Cities.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was recommended by our attorney. Any questions? And Janet, you received the invoice?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Ken, have you had any more communication with CIS on what the quote will be, what the
No.
fee, the rate? Okay,
You have to
I just didn't
join.
know if you had heard from anyone.
No, we have to join first.
Okay.
So we've had a motion to join last meeting, I believe, but now we have to pay, and no one knew the exact fee, and now it's $500.
Do we need a motion to approve joining for that amount?
Yes, we should. Do we have a
Move
motion?
to approve the joining of the League of Oregon Cities to access insurance requirements.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tony. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. Roll call vote.
Mr. Woodward,
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mr. Gander,
Aye.
Mr. Morones,
Aye.
Mr. Kirsch,
Aye.
and myself is I. Motion passes.
03.
Yeah, you're doing really good tonight.
No, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Because I don't know what you put on the end of it. Thank you, everybody. Appointment of treasurer, budget officer. Got my name down there, but it's open. We've talked about keeping treasurer separate. Then, we have treasurer, secretary, vice chair, chair, and communications. So that's still open. They will be working with COG. So that's open still. So if we don't have anybody jumping up and down for joy, do you have a temporary? Okay. I can sit down with COG and we can come up with something.
I can assist temporarily while this gets in place.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll set up a time. With McCray to go over it. Is that okay?
To go over,
just the whole thing.
okay. Yeah. And so an interim treasurer,
Temporary, Janet and Ken.
Wait a minute, you didn't say I was working with you.
Oh, well, excuse me, I'll eliminate it. You can do it yourself. You want to do it?
No, I'll take it on temporarily, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
help.
Thank you. We'll sit down. I'll have a conference.
Thanks, Janet.
Yep. My mood today was I had minions up on my meetings at the office all day long, so that just tells you where I'm at.
All right, we'll set up a time later. Grant, prospecting discussion, Silas. It's all yours.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
So, so what I've been working on so far is just a grant for the applying for the grant for the NS North Santiam Sewer Authority for the Ford Family Foundation. They have a technical assistance grant that offers up to either 25,000 or 50,000 for their large scale community grant, and then up to 5,000 for their small neighbors community grant, which I wanted to get the go ahead to apply for. But apart from that, I'm still looking for potential grant opportunities for board development. So if anyone has any suggestions as to what particular needs the board would like for me to focus on or prioritize, that would help. Or that would just assist me in my research.
So you say there's, the 5,000 we understand, but never heard of the 50,000. Do we meet the requirements for the 50,000 grant? Or what's that?
Yes. So on the website, it does say that they have the same requirements as the small neighbors grant. However, there is a larger matching requirement, which if I can just
So explain that about the grants. Some people might not understand that you have to have matching funds.
Yep. So this particular grant is called the Large Good Neighbor Grant by the Ford Family Foundation, which is open year-round to support organizations serving both children, families, and rural communities. So we have grant amounts above 25,000 for programmatic and operating grants, and the Large Good Neighbor grants will fund up to 1/3 of a project, a total project, with which at least there's a 50% budget match required prior to applying, at least for the large one. But the eligibility requirements are just the same as the $5,000 ones.
Silas, can those be in-kind budget matches such as the volunteerism of the board, the hours that we put in, or is it cash required?
I'm not sure. You bring up a good question on in-kind. I can ask, but I can ask. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious because this board's got a lot of hours in, so.
Yeah.
About 5 years worth. So that's a great question. Thank you, Janet. So
But,
which one do you think we should go for first so we can meet our requirements?
Sure. So I would think that going for the Small Good Neighbor Grant would be a good place to start. And I'm reading the grant amount for the Small Good Neighbor one, and they serve up to 50,000, 25,000 for programs, and up to 50,000 for capital grants. The Large Good Neighbor grants are for anything above that. So I think applying for the Small Good Neighbor grant would be the best way to go for us. And to do that, we would just need to register the NSSA with the Ford Family Foundation on their grants portal, which I've started email correspondence between them, but I would need some information from the board eventually to get going on that.
So it sounds like we need to make a motion to give you the okay to get going. Tony,
So if I heard you correctly on the smaller good neighbor ones, there is not a required matching, whether it's in kind or cash donation. Is that correct?
Yes, there's no, yes, for the small one, there is no match required. But they won't fund 100% of the project's budget. So at least up to 50,000, but that 50,000 cannot fund the entirety of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Thank you. And I would think that we should consider, in my limited experience of doing some grant acceptance and being out there, putting ourselves out there, that somebody like the Ford Foundation is a good place to start. And, being able to say that we met a criteria of an organization like that and we were hopefully awarded is something that sounds very promising that the board should consider.
I agree. And yeah, Jeanette, to answer your question, I do receive grant announcements from the Fred. I'm part of their listserv.
Okay, perfect. I am too. That's why I was asking. Thank you.
But yeah, at least that is one particular grant I feel the board would be good to go on.
we can do that one first. But that's not my decision. It has to be the board decision. So if anybody wants to make a motion to have Silas move forward with the grant,
I'll make a motion that we move forward with providing Silas the information he needs to apply for the, I don't know if we need to narrow it to the small good neighbor grant, but the good neighbor grant from the Ford Foundation.
do we have a second?
I'll go ahead and second that, but I'd also like to add real quick that the Ford Family Foundation has a long history of working with the North Santiam Canyon and the communities therein. So I think that this is a great opportunity for us.
Thank you for sharing that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Mr. Woodward,
Aye.
Mr. Nielsen,
Aye.
Mr. Gander.
Aye.
Mr. Morones,
Aye.
Mr. Kirsch,
Aye.
and I am an aye, so motion passes.
Thank you, Silas.
All
Thank
right, I'll get started on that as soon as possible.
We will get the information you need.
Thank you.
Moving on to old business. Draft IGA with Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments update on staffing. McCray. Your future's real bright in your picture.
I know, I'm sorry. The light behind me is awful. You're a funny guy.
I'm wearing shades, so it don't matter.
Yeah. Not any new updates. We're still in recruitment. We're definitely wanting to find the right person, who can provide for the sewer authority and other potential opportunities that we have at the COG. So we're in recruitment and we're here. We'll keep doing stuff until we both have the people we'd like to interview, and we'd like to invite 1 or 2 members from the sewer authority to participate in that, and also just our work with you right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
No questions, but thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
All right, new business. Draft procedures and policies. Larry.
Yeah, I'm working on those. I was working on them last week into this week. I think it'll probably take me about into next week to do them. But it's kind of the same as the financial policies where they're supposed to meet you guys where you are. They look basically, very, very similar to the ones you guys have already passed. That first one, all that information is incorporated in there. It's pretty much just reformatted. So I am starting to get a little bit of questions on it, you know, for instance, like defining the roles and responsibilities. And as I'm moving through, I'm looking for maybe not this week's work session, but possibly the week after, on the 17th. I think is our next the next work session after that, after this Friday, and we can keep on trucking on them. Brian?
So your language confused me a little bit there. Is this the set that Kelly sent out to us, or is this the set that is actually posted on the website? Which is your reference for background material?
They are both of them essentially. So the one that Kelly sent was the operating procedures for the city of Florence. And so more or less, we're just borrowing the formatting from that one and just kind of using it as a template. And then I'm deleting the information in there and then putting your guys's approved ones into that template, just so that way they're more readable, essentially.
Okay, so we're doing this at the next meeting then? We're seeing the draft at the next meeting, or is that part of a work session? I'm looking for process timeline, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If we want to meet on Friday for the work session, actually, no, I'm going to be out of town on Friday. So I'm looking, and I might not be done by then. So I was looking at possibly the 17th to review them with you guys, because I am putting comments into the margins and tracking changes. So that way I can
is it a
ask you guys
Google
a couple
Doc?
questions about it.
Is it a Google Doc then, or it's just your working document?
Right now, it's a working document, but
Okay.
I can upload it as a Google Doc if you want into the drive.
No, I was just wondering, I mean, it's getting up there in pages, I'm assuming, you know, so I want to be prepared.
We've already approved one. They're just going to change the.
Yeah, it's really just a formatting change. I'm kind of spending a little extra time researching to read through like Robert's rules, ORS, just to make sure I don't move too
Robert's
fast.
rules is a guideline.
So that's just kind of what's taken, even though it is more of a reformatting. I just wanted to get brushed up on them.
There's new content.
But very little changes in content, other than bringing in like the conflict of interest language is coming in there.
Okay.
I myself am not available on the 7th. I'm not available on the 21st. So I will be available on the 17th.
If that's the next time we want to look at them as a group. And I think that's a more realistic timeline for me to get you guys like a clean copy that I'd like to bring that has all the questions ready.
I'm available on the 17th.
That works for me as well.
So is that one of the planned work sessions, or I don't have a calendar in front of me, I'm sorry.
That's a Monday.
That's a Monday.
So
That's
it's one
a
of the
board work
Monday
session.
evening work sessions.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, just trucking along on those. And then those ones, I assume, are still a living document as well, if we need to add anything else into them.
At a later date. That's a 9-page document. I know you want, it needs to be changed, and that's what we've discussed before. So, giving you some time would be good to work with it. And if we all agree on the 17th, we can review it. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
make it so.
Yep.
I'm good with it.
Janet, don't leave yourself out.
Oh, fine. I'm good with it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Cool. And then after those, I was tracking communications plan was kind of the next document,
Yes,
get out of the way. And then,
that's Denny's. We don't worry about that.
well, just heads up, Denny, that's coming at you.
No, that's great.
After these,
Larry. You know, if you would like to take the time to get together and chat about that, I'd be happy to meet with you at your office at your convenience.
Remember, you can't meet at their office anymore. We have to meet at COG.
Well, okay, at COG, that's right. Thank you, Ken. But I think we're gonna have enough specific information regarding at least the Detroit temporary system, which is being raised by many people within the communities between Detroit and Idana, that we can actually finish off a couple of the papers that we put together, both the FAQs as well as the white paper. And I'd like to get that finalized so that we can spend this winter meeting within the communities on a town hall basis to try and elicit questions and opinions from folks within the communities.
Agree.
agreed.
So the next, anything else on the draft procedures and policies? So we go to the next meeting topics. We got to remember, and that's my fault. Brian Nicholas. He made it clear. He's got
Okay,
a,
is this for the meeting on the 17th or the
no,
meeting?
our
Regular meeting.
regular meeting. The meeting on the 17th. Yes, you're totally right, Janet. The 17th will be the draft policies and procedures, or the procedures and policies. 17th to review. And then, Tony, time.
Yeah, I apologize, y'all. I'm gonna go to beautiful Indianapolis right now and on a red eye. So
Thank you.
hope to talk to you on the 17th. Thank you all for the work that you're doing.
Thank you,
Please
Tony.
stay.
I didn't want to run you off, but you know,
That's okay.
I watched the clock.
I'd love to miss the flight, but there are others that probably would not want me not to be there.
Yeah, you'd be in trouble. Thanks, Tony.
So for the agenda on the 17th or on the 7th, November 7th.
Thank you. I was looking that up. We're going to be talking about grants.
Ryan Nichols,
Brian Nicholas,
Nicholas.
that's before the grants. Oh boy, sounds like my puppy wanting in. But
Go outside.
the procedures and policies. Larry,
Mhm.
Brian Nicholas, grants will be Silas. Seeing how, all right, Silas, where'd I lose you? There it is.
I would be interested, like to hear feedback from the board, the full board, not just our working group on the communications plan, because I think we're going to start kind of be going into there. It might be good to have a little round table where everyone could, maybe brainstorm some good things to put in it.
You want that on the 17th?
Oh, no.
7th.
Are we talking the 17th or in November, the next board
November.
session?
November 7th.
Okay, communications.
Yeah, November, I'd like to just have a quick round around the room on ideas for the communications plan.
Good.
Mary has her hand up, Ken.
Mary,
Yeah, sorry, never know when to chime in. Hey,
oh,
I think,
anytime.
okay,
Raise
I
your
was, I was thinking about your what Larry was talking about, the communication plan. And maybe we could also, you talked about the frequently asked questions, because I think that would be helpful. Maybe if there's time to kind of go over them and see if there's any other questions. Now that Keller will be, available, maybe they can, if there's some questions like, I can imagine from the public's perspective, well, how long is this going to take? And what's my sewer bill? And do I have to hook up? And so we want, you want to be as clear as possible with that. So, we get everybody excited and that this is happening, and this is kind of how we're moving forward. And obviously Detroit and Adana, a little different time schedule, but there's some funding coming to them. That's great. Yay. They can do the engineering, that kind of thing. So maybe it's too soon in November, but maybe take up some time to kind of look at that and sort of agree like, yep, these are the ones we think should go forward.
I think that's a great idea. And then I think maybe that could be where we start on the communications plan. We can start making a list of the FAQ, and then we can, it'll be a good start too with Keller.
Yeah, because Brian brought out, hey, people are having trouble, wanting to go back and look at the minutes and stuff like that. So obviously there'd be other people with, hey, how can we know what's been going on? And you could say, well, go here, that kind of thing. So,
We're gonna get that all straightened out. Denny has quite a bit of information. So we'll be sharing that.
Well, if you all have access to our Google Drive, both the white paper as well as the frequently asked questions that Mary was alluding to are there. And if you can think of other questions or additional material for the white paper, although that said, I would like that white paper shorter rather than longer, because the longer it is, the fewer people that will actually read it. To me, that's sort of a stimulation kind of paper that gets people to think about the FAQs and the answers that we can provide them regarding their concerns. So, and if you don't have those, let me know, and I can forward those to you by email.
Mary, do you have access?
I don't know, because I'm not, if I do, being a state, being a different agency than the COG, I mean, obviously different than the COG, if I have access or not.
Denny has your email address. We can get it. We can get everything to you. You can just review it, and we'll keep you informed of any changes.
Okay.
Is that good, Denny?
You bet.
So November 7th, we're gonna have Brian Nicholas, Grant Silas, procedures and policies, Larry, communications, Denny. And review draft procedures and policies on the 17th. Anything else?
Hey, Ken, one thing we're gonna have to look at is board member recruitment. Obviously, we're down 2 board members now. And also we need to understand whether to meet quorum, we have to have, we're counting as 8, or it's whether it's a flexible size board. Say if our bylaws say that we need from 6 to 8 members, then it would be, the quorum would be set on that. But if the bylaws said that we have 8 board members, then quorum could be hard to meet if, we only actually have 6 people present. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, no, I agree. Larry, you're in touch with Ross. That's a good question. I mean, we're working on the procedures and policies. You're muted, Larry.
What I understand is we could define that how we want, so I mean, I could ask Ross if there's a requirement for it, but as I understand, we kind of set the requirement ourselves, what that quorum is. You know, and maybe, you know, if we want to say it's like greater than 50% or, you know, like of current board members, you know, we could just add that language into the policy and procedure under like the quorum header.
I would think, yeah, 50% plus on current board members is what it should be, because if we lost another board member or two, I mean, we wouldn't be able to make quorum if it's worded too strictly, I would say. So, and then, but with that, we do need to reach out and see about member recruitment.
Okay, do you guys think that's acceptable? Is equal to or greater than 50% will make up a quorum?
I think especially on a volunteer board, that makes all the sense in the world.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah,
I have a-
we
I have
write
a
that into the
question.
policies then.
Oh, Mary has a question.
Sorry, do we want to, or do you guys want to make sure that every community is represented? Because it could happen like, let's say that Brian's gone and we have nobody from Gates. But we really would want every community represented on the board, right? Is there something in the bylaws about that? Because I think that's, since you're going to stick together, pouring resources together, is that an important piece to this? Board?
So each meeting's required to have one representative for each community. Is that what you're saying, Mary?
Yes.
That's what she's saying.
Okay.
Is that important to the board?
I would think that could possibly cause a conflict. Say if one community doesn't agree with something, they could stall the whole process by having their two members not show up.
And the other issue, Tim, great point, is that I've been working with 3 different individuals who have shared interest, you know, over our email. And on 2 of the 3 sort of interviews that I've had with people, I thought I had folks who were very interested in representing IDANA. And to this date, I still don't have a commitment. So in a volunteer organization, I think, yes, you want to have as much diversity from a community perspective as you possibly can. That said, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you can't do any business because you've developed rules and regulations that don't let you operate based on representation from a particular component within our organization.
But also there's something else. We represent the canyon as well. There's 4 communities, and that was offered earlier by Janet. So
I guess my input is that, you know, it depends on what's on the agenda. I would hope that a board chair would look at the agenda and say, wow, we're only 50% here and we're discussing, for example, a contract, let's say. And hopefully the board chair would table that until there was greater representation, so everybody was on the same page. I think that's a logical operating agreement for a board. You know, there might be a different quorum requirement for work sessions as opposed to the regular monthly board meeting. That might be something to consider. And I think there should be consideration for documents that are discussed at a work session. Because I am leery of a group coming to a consensus about an action in a work session and then it just becoming perfunctory at a meeting without the proper level of discussion for the community engagement. So that would just be my input.
that's why we get everything out early enough so everybody can review it. And if they have concerns and comments and they all of a sudden can't make it to the meeting, they make it known. Or, you know, the work session.
Well, I've done that twice, Ken, and it's been ignored. So I'm not quite sure that's a safeguard that's realistic. So
Nothing's been ignored, Brian.
well, it was, maybe not in your opinion, but in others. So just accept that. That's just other people's have different perceptions. So.
Well, one thing we should probably consider too, though, is if folks know that the vote can go forward even without they're there to be represented, that would be more in, how should I say it, make them want to show up more to be represented. If they want their opinion heard, they got to be there, obviously, or the vote can go on. And so I think it's a 50% quorum. Now, typically 50% turns out to be a no vote. It has to be over 50%, at least in city structure it does. But, and I'm fine with that. So, if we have 6 members, it would obviously take 4 members then to pass something. And if we have 8 members, it takes, 5. So I would say 50% plus 1 vote should be a move forward. And that would be just of the folks that are there. Obviously, they're attending the meeting.
Denny.
Well, I'm sensitive to Brian's comments. But that said, we've been trying to find a person for IDANA, for example, since January. And I'm not sure what else we could do to recruit. I would sort of lean on people in the community, in this case, Tony, to try and work his area to develop a resource. But if that doesn't happen, I would hate for the rest of us to be held hostage because you couldn't generate enough interest in the community to gain a vote. I don't think that makes business sense at all.
Then write your procedure to include if a community's seat is vacant for longer than 6 months, the board can accept an application from a canyon, Ken says we're all the canyon, right? So.
Oh, that's great. No, that's a good idea.
So write your policy to allow the board to fill a position if it's vacant and then state the period of time at which you feel you've given a community enough time to meet the expectation.
And
I agree. That's a great idea myself. I would, hope that down the road, though, it doesn't come from, like say Mill City having the greatest population. If we had our 2 council appointed members and then had 3 ad hoc members all from Mill City, then everybody else would think, oh, wait a minute, they're loading up the board, even though that was the only people that were volunteering or available. So yes, I agree with that, though. If it sits empty for so long, we should be able to appoint an ad hoc member from somewhere within the whole region.
Well, and maybe if it's a Gates Mill City issue, you should deal with it in that sub-region. And if it's a Detroit IDANA, then the extra member should come from one of those 2 cities, not Mill City or Gates. I just don't like the idea of being held hostage by a lack of representation because of disinterested community members. And by the way, I would be happy to try and recruit within Gates, for example, but I don't know who the influencers are in that community. I don't know who I would even contact, but I'd be happy to do it if anybody has any ideas. Because I think it's important that the communities be represented.
I think we move forward with the communication part of it and start going to different council meetings. You're going to get more interest.
Well, I don't mean to speak for the city of Gates, Brian, but I know that the city of Gates is down 2 council members, so they within their council are going to be hitting up people and recruiting folks for the council. So with that, there might be some interest amongst the 2 people that fill the vacant seats in the city of Gates's council. So I look forward to seeing Gates to come whole again, and then possibly have one of those members join this committee.
I don't anticipate that happening until January, just to be upfront with you guys. We'll probably wait until the election results come in and then the officers change hands in January. So
January is just a stone throw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it comes
does-
real quick.
Does the board have a form that somebody needs to fill out to join it? Is there?
If there's a there is a requirement from each community that you got to be a property owner. And that has to all to be reviewed. So I think
Okay.
Tim's suggestion, 50% plus one is probably the way to go right now, but also don't drop the ball on recruiting. I mean, we can't slow down our process. We got to keep moving forward. And so we have to make changes. And I think it's in the best interest of the council or the board to be flexible. I don't think we're going to make any decisions without anybody's input. I don't think we're that way. We've never have been that way since we've been operating. So.
Well, it might just be as simple as a respectful thing to send a letter to the city council of the community that's missing representation and says, in 60 days, the NSSA will be considering appointing an ad hoc member to fill the position that's unfilled in your community. If you have someone of interest, please send their name along and we'll go forward with that person. And maybe that just is a fairness thing for that community, but it also allows us operating time to move forward and continue to have a robust board.
I agree. We can do that.
So on your agenda items you were looking for, that should be something to maybe, I don't know, have a policy or set that forth to where we draft that letter to go out to the communities that are missing members.
I got it written down.
Okay.
I think one more thing we might want on the November agenda. I know. I think we should have a resolution to our concerned citizen. That email that we got at the beginning, I think we should, formally, read it and then present what our resolution was.
Yeah, we're going to resolve that. Okay, so.
Tell
Can I
me
just-
about the letter.
I just want to let you guys
It's-
also know that I've been getting a ping by a homeowner in Adana that's going to be next to possibly the wastewater treatment plant. And they wanted to know, is it going to smell? Is it going to be this or that? So maybe you're talking to that individual.
Yeah, we are. She was at our last meeting and Denny's been in touch with her quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
And Denny, I forward the email, Tim sent me an email of Ann Carey that has concerns that we will review, McCray, Larry and I and whoever, with time. But I've sent it to you and the Gmail account so you can review it.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm thinking that hopefully with the COG looking, they're still looking to recruit the person that's going to be our staff support or our staff person. Once that gets resolved, I think these issues will be resolved because I believe that was on the things of the to-do list or the job description is going to be keeping that website up to date.
Yeah.
If I think I'm correct with that. I don't know.
Yes, you are. We uploaded a lot of different things. We haven't got the July 11th, August 1st, and September 19th summary notes. We don't do minutes. We do summary notes. We have recordings. They're on there. If they don't match the dates, it's my fault. But they're there. We're not perfect. We're a volunteer board. We'll do our best and we'll correct the problems once they've been brought to our attention. And they have. Anything else? So our next work session falls on the 17th of October, 6 p.m. And our next board meeting is November 7th. Everybody good with that? Hearing no complaints.
If there isn't going to be anybody at City Hall down here in Mill City, I'm going to stay home since that's a shorter meeting. Just FYI.
There you go.
Is
Your
there
call.
anything going on Friday the 7th?
No, I'm not available. If you guys want something to go on, you can hold a meeting, but I'm not available on the
Larry's
7th.
not available either.
Okay, well, I don't want to meet just to meet, so let's not do
Listen,
on the 7th then, right?
My wife's got cataract surgery on the 6th and on the 20th, and she comes first.
Absolutely. So
So,
there is work session scheduled for the 7th then, is what I'm clarifying.
yeah, no, nothing for the 7th. And well,
Yep.
not for me. I'm out on the 7th and I'm out on the 21st. So it's up to you folks what you want to do.
No, I got nothing on the 7th. I'm going to Ashland for a broadband project.
So it'd be the next work session be the 17th, which is a Monday. Everybody agreed? That's the only one for October? Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay. And let's see. Other than that, anything else? And McCray, I'll be in touch later on in a week. Oh, and there is a bill. I got to get the receipt. Sorry. I'm going to need a check. It's for GoDaddy. It's $44.34. I will get the receipt to Janet. But we're going to need to get the check off written and off to League of Oregon Cities for the $500. And then when I present the receipt to Janet, it'll be $44.34. Sorry. Just
Do we need to vote on paying that for GoDaddy?
we can do it later. I'm not,
Okay.
just letting you know that I'm looking for it. It's been done. Denny knows. But yeah, the wife just gave me a note. Get the money. All right, if there's nothing else. Thank you, Mary. Hey, Keith, you've been quiet.
Well, I'm just following you guys, just rolling along, you know.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks.
Hey, Ken, before you go off, I just wanted to let you know that I have that email. I just picked it up off the website email, so you don't have to worry about sending that to me.
Okay. And that's the one about the concerns.
Yes.
And Carrie. Okay. All right, we'll get that one handled. We need the public to be informed and we need them to let us know if we've made it difficult for them to follow. It's not on purpose. So anyway, other than that, everybody, thank you for joining us. Wish you all a good night, good evening, great week. Thank you. It is 7:26 and I'm going to stop the recording. That's it. No, that's pause. No.